Hey there, YouTube fans. How you going, man? I'm here with Kat.
Hi.
All right. So, last night we were having a bit of discussion. We were watching a few videos, and I explained to Kat that basically Christians, creationists, we believe that the Earth is only around 6,000 years old, and human beings around that time, because man was created on the sixth day. And that completely blew your mind, didn't it, Kat?
Yeah, it did, eh? It did.
And I said there was a few reasons why. We've got some science to back that up. Now, one of the biggest things that happened in the past several years is Mary Schweitzer?
Yeah.
Mary Schweitzer found red blood cells and blood vessels in
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, thank you, Kat.
Yeah.
Dinosaur bones, which were allegedly 75 million years old, something like that. And I said, well, they were completely surprised that that is even possible, and really it's not possible. From a creationist point of view, there's no way. It's not possible. Now have a think about it. When a fossil is made, so say you got a dead kangaroo, and we have in Australia, right? It will decompose. You know, a dingo will come and eat it, or something will come and eat it, and you won't have anything there left after a short period of time. So these fossils had to be made in a hurry, and basically, long story short, Noah's flood, you know, the worldwide flood, would have made all the fossils.
And when was that date? We need to know.
Now, that's roughly about 4,000 BC, Kat. And I'm looking at the camera. It's easier to look at the camera than it is to look at you.
That's fine.
Roughly around 4,000 BC. So what I was explaining to you is, and to Kat, I mean, and you guys can listen, is that in the very beginning, when God made Adam and Eve, right? God made Adam, one man, and then he made Eve from his side, okay? And initially, they used to live up to 1,000 years. I think one of the oldest was Methuselah, which is 969, something like that. And that was one of the generations, of course, of Adam. And apparently Adam was 135 years old before he had a child. So that, you could think that that's puberty, basically, or teenage years for them back then. So they lived up to 1,000 years. Now, after the flood, because God destroyed the current world at that time because of wickedness and evil, and he wiped out all the people except for 8 souls, okay? And then, so after that, human beings were reduced, the earth was changed, the whole ecology was changed, the whole environment was changed, and human beings were reduced to about 120 years. And then God later reduced our lifespan, to 70 years. But in case of strength, you can live longer, he said.
Minus, yeah.
Yeah. Now, what else was in there that would...
The flood with Noah's Ark and all that.
Yeah, so ironically, this might be hard for people to believe, but God said in Job, the book of Job, that he actually made dinosaurs with us, with Job, which is a man. So dinosaurs were created with all the beasts that were brought to Adam, which is really hard to understand for us now, but apparently were made at the same time. So there are examples around the earth, like the Palaxy River was one example where a human being has stepped on a dinosaur's footprint. Can you imagine? And then that's been fossilized. And there's been other cases of that. That wasn't the only situation where that happened. Now I'm trying to think out what else we discussed, because I know that blew you away. The other thing is that radiocarbon dating is very, very flawed. That's another thing.
Yep.
There's only up to a certain period of time anyway that it can be accurate. I can't remember exactly what the figure is, but it's not millions of years. For example, they've tested living things, like a living mollusk was tested, and it was found to be dead for, I don't know, thousands of years. And this was the other thing that we discussed, was have a look at the population. So say, I think we just asked Google about when the first primate was on the scene, and Google said 65 million years. Now think about it from a population standpoint. We've only got about 8 billion people here now. Now, if there were monkeys and primates, making children up until this point of time, there must be trillions of those creatures on the planet.
At least.
And then, because when you were born, there was 4 billion people on the planet, and then now it's 8 billion. So you do the maths. The maths aren't mathing, is one of the things I said to Kat here, is that just from a population standpoint, the maths aren't mathing. Like, if you went back to 8 sols about 4,000 BC.
So that's 6,000 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So probably
modest.
probably even earlier than that. The whole human history is about 6,000 years old. We get that from the genealogy. Like Adam had this child and then that child, and Abraham had that child. That's how we kind of do the maths. But anyway, if you go back to 8 sols, which they were around Turkey area this time around, which is interesting where Göbekli Tepe is. They found that civilization. Anyway, 8 billion in 2024, 8 billion people makes more sense than if you go back and say, well, you have Homo erectus and Homo habilis and all these people thousands and millions of years ago. It doesn't add up. There will be bones everywhere. There'll be people everywhere. And it just doesn't make any sense. What else was messing with your head last night?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was
Like,
so remember the James Webb Telescope.
Yeah.
So again, I always had this like problem with the Big Bang Theory, and now with the James Webb Telescope, we have fully formed galaxies right in the vast sort of
Light years
space.
away. Yeah.
That they shouldn't be fully formed, right? They are like, it's basically like they were already set up from the beginning. The way that the James Webb Telescope shows you. And I remember something else. The rebuttal of Mary Schweitzer's work on the Tyrannosaurus Rex was that, well, maybe iron preserved the hemoglobin and the red blood cells and the blood vessels. But I know from my health problems with anemia or iron deficiency that when you take iron tablets, you've got to be careful because bacteria love iron. They need iron to live. So I said to artificial intelligence, well, that doesn't make any sense because you would get more bacteria. And OpenAI agreed with me that there are scientists who said that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So it's more evidence for a young Earth, young creation than an old creation.
I have a problem too. I looked the search engine up. Can I say that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I looked the search engine up. I typed in, search engine, and I said, how old is the human race? And every result said like between 5 million years ago, 20,000, 8,000, 10,000, millions, trillions. There was no definite answer. And they're all evolution-based answers. None of them were creation at all.
Yeah.
Every single result.
Yeah.
So obviously the search engine is
Bias.
not even giving the other side a chance as such. So how are you supposed to learn like which side is correct if they keep shoving down evolution in your face?
Yeah. And it's like, would they change all of the history books now that the James Webb Telescope found that basically the Big Bang is inaccurate? Are they going to go back and change all of that? Also, I don't know if people know this, but Darwin's theory is in disarray because they thought that it would have been proved by now, but it hasn't. So now let me clarify this. I and most creationists would accept adaptation. So say you have a white moth that is on a white tree, then it's not going to get eaten, right, by a bird. But if you've got the brown moths, they might be eaten when they go and land on a white tree, like a birch tree, for example. So the white moths are going to survive more, right, than the black moths. I've got something crawling on my legs as I'm suddenly saying that. So what I'm trying to say is that, well, that's not evolution. That's kind of like by
Genetic?
by like adaptation kind of thing, and the survival of the fittest in one regard, because the ones that are white were surviving if there's white trees. So we don't have any problems with that. But we don't see anywhere in the fossil record where a cat becomes a dog. You got all these different dogs, you got all these different people, but you don't see where a cat becomes a dog ever.
No.
There's not a lot of transitional forms. Also, one goes into another. The other really strange thing is, I said to Kat, is when I've travelled to Italy, one of the first things I noticed is that a cat meows the same in Italy as it does in Australia, right? And
Meow.
but yeah, like meow. It doesn't speak Italian cat.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
Italian cat language. I know
No.
your cat, but it doesn't speak Italian cat language. And we're the only race that have a different dialect and language and everything. And can you imagine that the Bible actually explains that, which was at the Tower of Babel back in Babylon. Actually, that's where the name Babel comes from, where you can't understand each other. It's Babel. It comes from Babylon. And that's where the various languages were spread out from that point, from Babylon, Middle East.
Yeah, just another question. With all
Yes.
the...
Can you sit forward so we can have you on the mic? Sit forward. Yep. Yep.
There, all right.
Yeah. Make sure you're on camera.
Yes, okay. Anyway, yeah, they have all the books of, like, the Earth being cut into quarters and saying this has been dug out so many billions of years ago and all things like that. Have all these random dates and stuff. I think I've repeated myself.
So that's a good
way.
point. That's a good point, is that creationists and evolutionists are looking at the same data, but we're
Yes.
coming up with different conclusions, because you have to actually start any kind of belief with a belief. Like, you have to interpret the data with a belief. So if you believe that God was telling the truth, that he was there and this is when I created it and when and how, then you'll believe the Bible and basically the dates there, because it says this is why it's not thousands of years when it was created, because in Genesis it says the evening and the morning were the first day. So God actually broke it up into evening and mornings. He didn't say, like, well, that was 1,000 years and then that was 1,000 years and that was 10 million years. No, it was the evening and the morning was the first day, and the whole creation was finished in 6 days. And then he rested on the seventh day, and that's why we got the Sabbath. It's the Sabbath. The Sabbath is a rest
the
day.
evolutionist people, they're working in a creation world of all the dates and AD, BC, seconds, and all that stuff. So if you're a truly evolutional person, you should just go protest and say, I'm not following time, I'm not following the dates and stuff.
It's funny.
And everything like that.
It's funny you say that, because they did that. So there's BCE, before the Common Era, and the Common Era. They changed AD.
Oh, did they?
Yes, yes. So you're right. They changed it. Before the Common Era, BCE, and then the Common Era, CE.
But it's the same days, isn't
They completely
it? At the
put
same
yes,
time.
yes. They completely put Christ
So
out of it.
rewording it.
Yeah, Anno Domini is gone.
Oh, is it?
Year of our Lord is gone.
What about the Jewish calendar then? It's about 5,785 or something.
You're right. Well, then that's more closer to the date of creation, isn't it?
Yeah.
According to creationists. Apparently, the Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar, not a solar calendar. That's what I heard, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. I think also I talked a little bit with you about the Shroud of Turin. That's a whole nother topic that we could go into. But I've actually been to Turin, Italy, and I was in the museum where the Shroud of Turin is kept, which is allegedly, possibly, the burial cloth of Christ. It certainly depicts a crucified and tortured man on a shroud, which is a big linen cloth about 16 feet long.
14 feet?
Well, so the person in the shroud is about my height. So it's about 14 feet long.
That's what they said.
Yeah. And anyway, my point is, I've seen a 3D version of the shroud and a computer model in Turin, Italy, and it blows you away because the information that was on the Shroud of Turin was in 3D. And I remember this model here, like rotating like that. It's just amazing. I mean, I was a skeptic, but then when I started researching more and more and went over to Turin, Italy, and saw the replicas and went through the museum and looked at the documentaries, there's only one person in history that could possibly create a shroud like that, which it seems to be, to me, like his body during the resurrection shone like the sun, and on the very top fibers of the Turin shroud, they've got that mark, which was done by radiation, basically. And what also blows you away about the Shroud of Turin is that it's got x-rays of his hands, so you actually see the bones and his teeth coming through. They're just about the photo of this picture of Christ's face is actually all over Italy. You can buy the Shroud of Turin's face, but anyway, you'll see that it's like an x-ray as well. It's got all the whip marks on there and the nails through the wrists, which is more accurate, and blood stains and blood stain on the side. All these things like flowers from the Middle East. It is absolutely amazing. I don't know 100% if it is the actual burial cloth of Christ, but I can't think of any other person in history that could have been buried like that and produced an image on a shroud. So who knows? It's possible, I would say, but we don't need that shroud to confirm our beliefs, right? Hopefully that's still recording.
Yeah?
Yeah. Hopefully. 18 minutes. Okay.
I'm trying to think of more stuff.
Yeah, and I wasn't fair to Kat because I said, no, we're just going to do this video. I'm not going to write it down because I had all these ideas in my head that I've been thinking about lately anyway.
Stage fright, do we call it? Stage fright.
So that was the other thing I found today. So we talked about DNA.
Yes, DNA, yeah.
Quite interesting today. DNA is like you can actually play it as a musical note, tune.
Yeah, TACG, right?
Yeah.
That's
I think you're right.
Anyway.
Yes.
Double helix and all that.
ACTG, yeah.
helix.
Whatever the order is. So you could actually play it.
Can I talk about genetics too?
Go on.
Okay. If humans were born millions of years ago with their DNA, it would change, like...
Because of all the mutations.
Yeah, there'd be so many mutations, no one would be alive anymore.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But if it's 6,000 years old, there's some mutations, like we know there is.
Yeah.
But it's passed down because the first... is Adam and Eve, is that correct?
Yeah. So it's like doing a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. You're going to have all these mutations in there and pretty much, you end up like Quasimodo and you can't survive.
Yeah.
It's like the other thing, why people can't understand this is that, like, it's back to the chicken and egg situation, right? The chicken, who came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, you need an egg to make a chicken, but you need 2 chickens to make an egg. And then you need a male chicken and a rooster, and you need a hen, right? So what did they do when there's no hen around? It doesn't make any sense. These things can't
The sperm
procreate.
donors are only this way.
They can't procreate. We can't procreate without another, like a female. Like we're not asexual or something. So I mean, man, come on, man. You need to think logically about these things. Like human beings are without excuse. A seed will just sit there until you throw it into the ground with water. And then it will produce other seed, like a basil tree.
Drops off it.
From that tree.
To the next tree.
Yeah, and we need the bees to make fruit and things like that. So there's a big panic that the bees are starting to die, and then we're going to be without fruits and a lot of foods. And I don't know if the human race can survive without bees. I don't know. I know some other creatures do pollinate, like probably wasp or something. I have seen other creatures in the backyard. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing a little bit. But the fact that these things have got seeds and then they produce other plants, and then the seed only knows to germinate when it's in water. You have to water them and you have to put them in soil, or else they won't germinate.
Just the big thing about those dates they keep saying in the evolution argument, millions, billions years ago. No article is the same as the other article. Like, you know what I mean? Dinosaurs got apparently wiped out by an asteroid 65 million years ago or something.
It's more than likely it was Noah's flood that changed and got rid of a lot of them after that. But the other thing with the egg is a really good example, by the way. Did you know that inside a chicken egg, you have a look next time you open one up, there's a little pocket of air, and that little pocket is so that the chick survives while it's trying to peck its way out. It uses that pocket of air for a short period of time so it doesn't suffocate, so it can peck its way out. You'll have a look there. There's a little pocket with a membrane across it. So how long did it take for that membrane to evolve before the chick is dying and they're suffocating? I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It was already designed like that.
Yeah. That's it.
So here's the answer to which came first, the chicken or the egg. The chicken came first. God made a chicken. They've been similar since the time immemorial, right? And then he also made a rooster. So he made a hen and a rooster, and the rooster fertilizes the egg, and you got a chick, and then you have chickens, and it continues like any other thing.
Yeah.
Do I need to tell you about the birds and the bees?
All that. Yeah. I think I'm talked out for the moment. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you at least with this while I think about it. It was Creation Ministries we were watching, wasn't it? And Answers in Genesis. Ken Ham. Yeah, Ken Ham's another Australian. But it was Answers in Genesis was one of the channels that we were watching on YouTube, and Creation Ministries was another one. And by the way, I told you that the inventor of the MRI was a Christian as well. So Christians can be scientists and work alongside, because we've got observational science and we've got historical science. He was explaining basically nobody was back there when all this happened in the very beginning, but we see that all these civilizations, they did worship some kind of god back from the very beginning of human beings, if you go to any museum. And then what I said to Kat is why I don't accept evolution mostly. I mean, I was talking about adaptation before, but because Christ actually talked about Adam and Eve, and then getting married in the garden and all that. So he verified that that's how it happened in Genesis, not like over millions of years.
Okay.
Did I miss anything?
We probably did, but we'll be here for a few
We could do
hours
part
yet.
2 one day if you want.
Yeah.
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 No burning questions?
No, my brain's drained at the
Well,
moment.
look, I'm no expert, like I did teach. I did tutor science, and then I brought up some of these things with the teacher who I was helping in class, and they're like, "This is science, Salvatore, not religion." So, like Kat said, all the textbooks are one particular way.
Search engines too, one way.
Yeah, the search engine. But I mean, if you start looking up things like creatures like the bombardier beetle, absolutely amazing. They got 2 chambers and they mix these chemicals together. They don't blow up, but they'll shoot them out at something, and they have to mix it in the right proportions at the right strength to shoot out. And you've got electric eels, and you've got the bacterial flagellum, who's got like a rotor in there, and even a single cell. They didn't know back then in the day how complicated a single cell is. Like, they're a little factory, and we got trillions in our bodies, And here's another thing. So around this place, there's always dust everywhere. And I said to Kat, it's exactly what the Bible said right in the beginning: ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So what's ashes? Ashes is carbon. We're a carbon-based life form. You find that on Star Trek. We're a carbon-based life form. And then when you look up what's in dust, most of it is human skin, right? So that dust
Another theory as
us.
well.
But the Bible said, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. From dust thou art, to dust thou shalt return. You're made from the dust of the earth, Adam, and to dust you'll return. That's the origin of work.
If there were so many human beings back billions of years ago or whatnot, you wouldn't be able to see anything in the atmosphere anymore because it'd be so dusty with all the dead humans around.
It'd be so there wouldn't be any oxygen left. Everybody
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. I said to Kat that you need, when you go and buy a goldfish, right, you have to prepare the fish tank and then put the goldfish in. So this planet is our fish tank. God created the planet, then he put us in there. Because, we can't survive without oxygen, food. We can't survive in space for any long period of time without those things brought from the earth or made or whatever. Like, I don't think we're ever going to colonize another planet, honestly, I think that'll do. Yeah. I'm talked out.
So am I.
Please don't come for me in the comments. We're just a couple of human beings that we're talking about this stuff, and I think I really think that the young Earth explains a lot, especially after you got things like, I mean, I knew this anyway, with the James Webb Telescope and these discoveries with the Tyrannosaurus Rex bones and other creatures, like they found frozen mammoths that you can still cook up and eat, So come on, man. It's not millions of years old. It just doesn't compute. All right, I'll leave it there. Please remember to
like,
comment,
subscribe
to Teacher Sal channel. God bless. Teacher Sal out.
Bye.
Ciao.